Ever open up like a box of cereal and think, huh, every piece is
Yeah.
perfect? Or you get a new phone and you can just tell it's, well made.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, chances are there's a consumer goods inspector we got to thank for that. So today we're going to do a deep dive into their world, a career path that's honestly way more interesting than it might sound at first. We've got some seriously cool info from RoleCatcher for this one. They're kind of the experts in this field. They gave us their whole career guide on consumer goods inspectors, plus some info on their, get this, AI-powered job hunting platform. Yeah, right. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to explore how this career actually impacts your daily life in some pretty surprising ways. So let's just jump right in. What does a consumer goods inspector do all day?
I got to be honest, I'm picturing someone with like a magnifying glass, just super focused on finding flaws.
Haha. Well, you're not totally off. They're kind of like the guardians of, good products. They make sure that the stuff we buy actually works, looks right, and probably most importantly, is safe to actually use. Think about it. Everything from like the toys our kids play with to the cars we drive. It's probably been inspected by someone at some point.
You're so right. I never thought about it like that. So it's not just about like a scratch on your phone screen then. What else do they actually look for? So it all boils down to making sure the product actually matches those crazy detailed product specifications. Those are like the blueprints for exactly how it's supposed to be made. So they might use, all kinds of specialized equipment, like a digital microscope to check for imperfections you can't even see with the naked eye, or even a spectrophotometer.
A spectrophotometer?
Yeah, it analyzes like the color accuracy of a product. It's serious stuff.
Wow, okay, that's way more high-tech than I imagined. I'm realizing this is a lot more involved than it seems. What happens when they do find something wrong? Do they just, like, scrap the whole batch?
Well, first, they have to document everything super carefully, like crazy detailed reports, often with all the technical terms. Then they got to communicate all that to the production teams and sometimes even clients. That's where communication skills get really important. Like they might have to have some tough conversations about, quality control and stuff.
Oh, I bet. It's like you're a detective and a diplomat, all in one.
Yeah.
That's pretty unique.
But isn't some of this inspection work like becoming automated now? I mean, robots and all that?
You're totally right, and this is where it gets really interesting. Imagine robots working with the human inspectors,
Okay.
using AI and machine learning to catch even the tiniest flaws. Okay, now you're talking. So robots and humans teaming up to make sure my toaster doesn't explode or something. Sounds like the future of quality control is already here. But what does that even mean for someone who's thinking about this as a career? Is it all automated now?
That's a great question. And it leads us to this bigger idea of how this whole career path is, well, evolving. Because even though automation is changing things, human expertise is still super valuable.
So it's not about replacing humans, but more about giving them better tools to do their job.
Exactly.
I'm really curious to see where that goes. And speaking of careers, this RoleCatcher guide actually lays out what that journey actually looks like, right?
Yeah, exactly. Evolution is the perfect word for it. Like
Yeah.
instead of spending all their time on those, really basic defects, they can start focusing on more of the complex stuff. The things that really need human judgment and like problem-solving skills,
So it's not just about having a good eye anymore. What other skills are we talking about? What else is important in this field?
Well, again, think about it. As tech gets more and more advanced, inspectors need to be comfortable with like all this sophisticated software,
Yeah, that makes sense.
maybe even programming the robots we were just talking about.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we've got technical skills, attention to detail, and being able to communicate all those findings to other people.
Exactly.
So I'm guessing a career in consumer goods inspection isn't like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
You got it. There are definitely different levels of like expertise you can reach in this field.
Okay.
The RoleCatcher guide actually breaks this down really well. You usually start at an entry-level position, so maybe you're just testing one specific part of a product. Then as you get more experience, you move up to like a junior inspector. You might be inspecting a wider range of products at that point.
So it's like you're working your way up, getting the hang of things, mastering different techniques and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like leveling up in a video game.
Haha, I like it. So what happens when you reach the top level?
Well, as a senior inspector, you're basically the expert at that point.
Oh, wow.
You might be training newer inspectors, figuring out really complex issues, maybe even helping to improve those automated systems we talked about.
So you're like the Sherlock Holmes of the production line. Solving mysteries and making sure everything meets those high standards.
Exactly. And then, if you're really ambitious, you could even go for a management role, like a quality control manager or something.
Okay, now that's a title that, like, demands respect. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit. For someone listening who's, thinking, hey, this sounds like me, this could be a good fit, what are the, like, essential skills you'd need to even break into this field?
Well, attention to detail is, like, the big one, obviously.
Of course.
But like we've been saying, it's definitely more than that now. Strong communication skills are super important too.
Yeah, makes sense.
Inspectors have to be able to explain what they find clearly, and they often have to use really technical language, right?
Yeah.
And then they also have to communicate that to, the production teams, supervisors, maybe even clients directly sometimes.
Especially if they have to, like, deliver some bad news. Like, hey, this product isn't quite cutting it.
Exactly.
That takes some serious people skills.
Oh, for sure. And like we talked about, with technology becoming such a big part of this, being adaptable is key. You got to be down to learn new software and systems and all that.
So it's a field that's constantly changing, which I guess keeps things interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
But that also means, like, job seekers really got to stay on top of things, Which makes me wonder, with all these skills and tech stuff evolving so fast, how are people even finding these jobs? That's where RoleCatcher comes in, right? Like, their whole platform is all about helping people, navigate this crazy job market where everything's changing so fast. We were talking about their AI tools earlier, but I'm kind of curious to hear more about that. Like, how does that even work?
Okay, so picture this. You're looking for a job, right? And you've spent, like, hours making your resume perfect.
Tell me about it.
You've listed out all your skills and experience and everything. But these days, it's so easy for a resume to just get lost,
Totally. It feels like you're just sending it into a void sometimes.
Right. And RoleCatcher wants to change that. So their platform uses AI to actually analyze your resume.
Okay.
And it compares it to what the job description actually says it's looking for. It's kind of like a matchmaking service, but for your career.
So instead of just crossing my fingers and hoping my resume gets seen, this AI is like my little helper, making sure I stand out.
Exactly. Like, it'll tell you if there are gaps between your skills and what the job wants.
Yeah.
And get this, it even suggests stuff you could improve. Like, let's say you mentioned you have experience with quality control, but the job specifically wants someone who knows about, like, spectrophotometers.
Right, right.
It might be like, hey, you should add that to your skill list.
Wow, that's actually super helpful. It's like having a career coach, but, like, built into the platform.
Exactly. And it's not just resumes either. They also have these interview prep tools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have this huge database of potential interview questions.
Wow.
And they're tailored to, specific kinds of jobs. You can even record yourself answering them. And then the AI gives you feedback on how you did.
No way. Okay, so whether you're just starting out or you've been in your field a while and you want to, level up, RoleCatcher can help you get ahead. It sounds like they've really thought of everything.
Yeah.
But this kind of brings up a question for me. Like, as automation gets even more common in, consumer goods and stuff, how will that change things for the human inspectors?
Yeah.
Will it be like robots take over completely? Or is there a future where it's more about humans and tech working together?
That is the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough to say for sure, but honestly, I think it'll probably be a mix of both.
Yeah.
Like, automation might handle the more repetitive stuff, the basic inspections, which then frees up human inspectors to focus on the things that actually need human judgment.
Right, right.
Problem solving or analyzing data and making sure the automated systems are working the way they're supposed to.
So instead of replacing humans, automation could actually make their jobs, like, more interesting. They get to focus on the things robots can't do, critical thinking, being able to adapt, that expert eye that machines haven't quite figured out yet.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing to think about.
It really is, and it shows how important it is for, people in this field to be open to new things, embrace the new tech, always be learning, all that. It's a career that's always evolving, which keeps things exciting, like we were saying.
For sure. From inspecting products with a magnifying glass to, like, high-tech robots and AI, it's clear that consumer goods inspection is definitely not your average job.
It really makes you appreciate all those, like, behind-the-scenes things that make sure we get good quality products, Next time you open a perfectly good phone or grab some fruit at the store or even buckle your kid into their car seat, you'll know that somewhere along the line, a consumer goods inspector helped make that happen.
That's a good point. It's easy to take that for granted. And for anyone listening who's kind of intrigued by this career path now, remember, there are resources out there to help. Like RoleCatcher can be super useful for figuring out those next steps. It's all about, embracing the tech and using it to your advantage. But here's something to think about as we wrap things up today. If technology keeps advancing like this, what will consumer goods inspectors need to know in the future? What new skills will be important? That's something to chew on.